to another episode of On The Box. We're now heading into fight week for victory number 7. It's come around really quickly, like because of the timing, because of the COVID pandemic. Like, we've done 2 shows quite close together.
Yeah.
Normally we're like March and October, and it feels like we've got a nice gap to breathe in the middle.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've just offloaded all the stuff from last week and then loaded it back up again. You know?
Which, by the way, is when we're going to have our shows next year, end of March, end of October, the last weekend of each. So get that in your diaries. We really want to go hard next year and get some amazing fights on, especially now we've got this bad weather.
Yes.
In the mix. We want to get the good fighters out there, the best domestic fighters of the UK, fighting for that belt.
Yep. It just shows the progression. We're always trying to do better and better and better.
Yeah.
But I think we've got it dialed in where we have a brilliant matchmaker, who's quite adequate at his job of matching some of the best fighters in the UK, and the recognition that we're getting from other clubs, just solidifies that now. Like now it's a case of, we've always said we wanted to build a platform for these fighters, to elevate themselves, and now we're in that point where you're getting the top fighters. It's an elite show now. Like it's an amateur show, but it's at elite level. Like the best of the best want to fight on this show.
Yeah, I mean we're forever getting asked to put on pro fights and open up the pro side of it, and that's only a compliment. It can only be taken as a compliment that pros want to fight on our show. I think we give better recognition to our amateurs than they get on some of the pro shows. 100%. Not all of them, obviously, but some of them. So it might be something we look at one day, but right now we're just fully committed to the amateurs and building that structure, building almost like a league that fighters can fight in at amateur level and go on with a platform behind them to the pro level when they're ready. Without feeling rushed, because I believe a lot of fighters rush to pro level because they want that
bit of spotlight.
Yeah, they want the spotlight, but sometimes rush too early. So
build up a good amateur career, step into a pro career.
Exactly, yeah.
That's good. So I'm excited to hear, as everyone else is, about some of the matches we've got this show.
Yeah, we've got some good ones as always. Should we talk about the headlining fight first?
Yeah, I would
go straight in at the deep end. So we've obviously got Alfie Lynch versus Kieran Piggy. That fight is shaping up to be a brilliant one. Alfie on the last show stopped Josh Walton, which is Kieran Piggott's teammate. Very, very similar fighting style. Kieran naturally a little bit heavier than Josh. Kieran beat Adam Brown and put in a fantastic performance. Kieran is a very experienced tournament fighter with a lot of wins under his belt. Alfie obviously has had some great back-to-back wins on VKS now. And wants to be a little bit more active. So it's shaping up to be a good one. I can't wait to see how that one unfolds. Obviously, I'm on Alfie's team. He's my fighter, but I'm a big fan of Kieran and his style. And the club he's hailing from is coming from Birmingham, which is a massive hub for kickboxing there.
Well, I think you see, like especially with Alfie, from his last fight, you can see he's getting older, he's getting stronger, he's getting more confident in his abilities. So he has he's always been a confident kid, especially getting in the ring. But now you can kind of see, with the momentum of actually stopping your opponent convincingly. Not one of those kind of early stoppages or a bit,
single shots.
It was single shot. It was a full-on connection and dropped him. I personally watched Kieran Piggott's fight back, and I definitely feel like he has the ability to disrupt Alfie's momentum. If Alfie doesn't get the upper hand and control the fight throughout and keep it at his pace with his pressure, I think Kieran has the technical ability to kind of make problems for Alfie, where it can almost stop him getting into his groove. So it would definitely be for me to see Alfie come out strong, confident and consistent, and it'll be for me to see Kieran disrupt that and then turn it into his game plan. And, not so much point scoring, but keep it very technical and punish him for every time he steps forward.
Kieran's very busy. He's got a very busy style. Alfie, the way he's progressing, he's becoming very powerful for the weight, and we've added something to his game that he never used to have as a teenager, which is knockout power. It's sort of come out of nowhere. He's now getting everything right, his diet right. He's got a nutritionist on board.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot to do with it, and I don't know if I predict the stoppage in this fight, but there's going to be some hurtful shots thrown.
Because this is what I wanted to say. Now he's had that kind of like highlight reel stoppage.
Yeah, but
does he then get into his head that he wants to chase that feeling again?
Nah, the thing is, people forget like what Alfie's all about. He's a very flary fighter. You know, he likes the spin kicks, he likes the side kicks, he likes all of these flashy things. He's got a great style. He's exciting to watch. But the thing is, Alfie has always had it hard in the gym, in the sparring side of things.
Right.
He's got bigger fighters that try to take lumps out of him all the time. They get frustrated with him, throwing hurtful shots. He's got smaller guys that are now been sparring with him to keep him fast, to keep him agile.
Right.
So we've got a good balance going into it. You didn't see the full Alfie at his best in his last fight, believe it or not. Obviously, it goes without saying, with PIGGOTT being from the same gym, we're looking for similar attributes and similar openings.
Yeah.
But we're bringing something completely different this time. So if Kieran has prepared for the Alfie you see in the last fight, then that was a mistake.
Right.
And I'm looking down the camera.
I mean, there's a bit of pride there, isn't it? Like, it's the first VKS belt, you know, like it's a big step for us. It's a big step for both the lads, you know, because they're both active fighters. So, you know, it's not a case of we give the belt and you don't see them ever again, you know, and it just collects dust on that. They're both active fighters. We want to bring these belts in to create that kind of ranking stroke league type thing where it's like you're the number one, you're the number two fighter.
We want fighters going into the pro rankings with a VKS belt behind them.
Yeah.
And people knowing like, oh, like fair play, he's got a VKS
They've
belt.
done it on an elite level,
He's good, do you know what I mean? He's a good amateur.
Yeah.
So let's expect good things from him. We want the best domestic fighters in the UK fighting for this belt.
Yeah.
We're not going to be making it world title level. We're not bringing flying fighters over from abroad to fight for this belt. It's not what it's all about. We want to create something in the UK. We want to do something for our own country here in terms of the sport, and we want to do something for our own fighters in our own backyard and get them fighting each other.
Yes.
Without putting world titles on the line. Like,
Yes.
It's so frustrating to see in the sport when you've got two British fighters that are probably not the best in the world fighting for a world title against each other.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to see. So let's have a belt that means something in the UK.
Yeah.
If you've got that belt, you're the best at domestic level, and then push on from there.
And if anyone doubts that and anyone thinks that, well, like the VKS belt come to the show, do you know what I mean? Put your fighters forward. Like if you think you've got better fighters, come put them forward. You know.
Yeah.
Like it's about building that culture.
The one thing we will try to stick to is having fighters fight on the show at the weight of the belt they want to fight for before they fight for the belt. We want to see them on the show winning.
Yeah.
Regardless of how many wins they've got elsewhere, we want to fight on the show winning, getting a bit of a platform behind them already on our show, because we've got a following for the show now as well, not just for individual fighters. So for the people that follow the show,
they want to know
who the fighter is before stepping in. So, which brings us on to one of the other fights which we are doing that with, and that's Almanas Castellanos versus Charlie Callahan.
Both fought on our shows many times. Yeah.
Charlie coming off a big win against Tadas Vasilievskis. Almanas was steamrolling everyone and then lost on points to Dom Barnard in his last fight.
And that was Dom's first appearance on our show.
Dom's first appearance on our show, big win for him, he's got a good record. So now the aim is to get Almanas and Charlie to fight each other, and the winner of that goes on to then look at fighting who is at belt level there, which in my opinion is Dom. Dom's beat Almanas and Almanas has beat everyone else.
Yeah.
So the winner of Almanas versus Charlie, it makes sense to fight. Would be lovely to fight Dom Barnard if Dom Barnard is available, if that match can happen.
Yeah.
I know Don Barnard's already knocking on the door of becoming pro and taking that route. So we'll see what happens. But them boys, the winner of that fight, I mean, Charlie's just forward pressure.
Yeah.
Forward pressure, and Al Mantas usually is as well. Yeah. The difference is how Charlie's coming down to Al Mantas's weight at 70 kilos. Charlie usually fights 72. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of pressure he brings with him at the lighter weight.
Yeah.
Move more.
Well, I think it'd be good because, as I said, Al Mantas has steamrolled everybody.
Yeah.
You know, he's not the most outrageous fighter where everyone sees the highlight of the knockouts or whatever, but he's very consistent.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the most consistent fighters on the show.
He's 8 wins and 2 losses. One of those losses came in a tournament, an open tournament years ago, early on when he started fighting. So he's really 8-1 if you include in the proper 3 rounders or 5 rounders, 2-minute rounds. So, and Charlie doesn't have the most experienced record, but he's beaten the guy who's beat the guy. So if he beats this guy, he can beat all of them guys. He's the guy.
Yeah.
So it's a good one. It's a good matchup, to be fair. Yeah. And I think people are probably going to sleep on that one. I'm not expecting it to be an exciting fight. Judging it based on how Tadas and Charlie went at it, they just kind of locked horns. And it was quiet.
It was interesting because where they both fought each other before, and they knew they had an idea, and I think it was obviously Tadas won the first one. Now Charlie's won the second one,
which was a questionable decision. Like there's been both fights were so close, but that last one could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But Charlie probably edged it on the fact that he was coming forward more,
and I think he was
being K1
because I know Tadas can be quite like. As he gets in the later rounds, he can be less accurate, but he swings with intent to try and stop his fighter. But it's not always so clean, and sometimes someone like Charlie can kind of put in a couple more cleaner shots, and have a bit more of a loss and effect in the judge's eyes potentially.
Yeah, exactly. So that nicely prepares us for the next bout, and this is what I love about this card. Every fight's making sense.
Yeah.
So with Tadas coming off the back of a loss, not a bad loss, but points loss, he's now fighting Will Rogers. Will Rogers is 3-0, so he's not as experienced as Tadas. Tadas is 4-3, so 4 wins, 3 losses.
But 3-0, and 2 of those he's decapitated people.
Yeah, so he was the guy on the last show, last victory show. He knocked the lad out in like.
Let's not sell it short. That was the most savage. Adrian Wu had one of the best head kick knockouts, but it wasn't a complete knockout. So the fighter didn't get back up after the head kick. That one was a complete ender, and it was as savage as it kind of gets.
Yeah, just
like it was dumb. I was
scary.
like, it was scary. I was like,
unfortunately, the other lad was okay.
We had a good medical team. They were in there straight away. He
went off to hospital, got checked after as well.
But it's that kind of thing where this is where if he hadn't have done that on another show after our show, I would have questioned whether it was just timing.
Yeah. So and then we fought on after, which was Combat Zone in Kent. He knocked the lad out with a head kick as well.
Yeah.
Cold as well, like that. It was another scary knockout. I was actually there to see that. So.
I mean, Tadas is a tough lad.
So this is the thing. Tadas is by far Will's biggest test.
Yeah.
And arguably, Will is probably the most dangerous fighter Tadas has fought in terms of KO power, stopping power. So that fight is going to be like a screamer.
Yeah.
Tadas has been looking phenomenal in sparring lately. I'm not going to go into details.
Please go into details.
Well, all right.
We all want to know details.
Yeah, Tadas has been just recently. He's knocked two sparring partners out cold with head kicks in sparring.
So do you think he's kind of thought, well, I'm going to go against a head kick KO artist, so I might up my head kick?
Well, I don't even think it's fault there. I think it's just naturally gone that way. But what people sleep on with Tadas is technically he's actually really good, and he's pound for pound one of the hardest hitters in my club.
Right.
But just sometimes his style of fighting just creates for like a locking horns sort of style, like where both fighters just end up tying each other up. It's tired.
No range to it.
Yeah, there's sort of like not that much technical ability during the fight, but when he sits back and lets his shots go, he's just as dangerous as anyone.
Yeah.
So given the fact that he's been knocking people out in sparring with head kicks, and obviously Will's been knocking people out in the ring with head kicks.
Someone getting knocked out, or it's just going to be one of the ones where it's just they're going to counter out to each other.
Yeah, like I'm excited for that fight. I think that fight could actually be fight tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go off on a tandem and start saying every fight again like I did last time. But last time I was right. Most fights were
like on any other show, any one of those fights would have been fights hands down.
100%.
You know, but it's like. You know, off topic a little bit, but like when we opened the doors, I remember someone coming up to me on the night saying, "Oh, we need to open the doors." I was like, "Oh yeah, in a minute." They said, "No, there's people waiting outside." I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll come and open the doors quickly." And like I've been to amateur shows, and it's kind of like it filters in through the night.
Yeah.
There was a queue around the building for people waiting to get in. Like I've never seen it before.
Yeah,
and that's
usually spectators for like these sort of shows don't turn up, they sort of trickle in,
yeah,
don't they?
But that was for like the first fight. I was like, I need to get all these people in because the first fight's about to start soon. And it is down to the people know you're not going to get boring fights on our show.
Nah, definitely.
You know?
It's an entertaining one from start to finish.
Yeah.
And this card is, and the way it's going to be spread out throughout the night as well, I really recommend people get there early, get your seats, and enjoy it because you don't want to miss some of these fights. There's going to be non-stop action in it.
The one thing I've noticed with this card as well, with the matches, is we've probably got the most female matches I think we've ever had on the show.
I think so, yeah.
You know, I think we've got 3 or 4.
Three. I think 3 fights. One of the ladies' fights is actually our first ever no shin guard fight on our show. It's a semi-pro fight.
Yeah.
It's what it technically goes down as. It's still 2-minute rounds, still no knees to the head. But they wear no shin guards for this one, so it's just like almost like a stepping stone for when they go on to fight pro. That's how that was invented. So yes, this is our first time we've had that on the show. For the spectators, it's going to be a little bit something different. You're going to hear shin bone on shin bone, and that's
with our audio quality. I don't know.
Yeah, they might put a few people off.
A couple cracks there, and then so who's that?
That's Rebecca Garside coming down from Tony Cunningham's gym.
Yeah.
Millennium. She's a great girl. She's dipped her foot in the pro side of things as well, and the same with her opponent Gita. I think she fought pro MMA. I might be wrong. I think she fought pro MMA. They were set to fight on another event in a tournament.
Yeah. The 2 girls are set to fight.
These 2 ladies were set to be in a tournament together. So it's quite handy that we've managed to get them fighting like this, because I don't believe that tournament went ahead in the end.
Right.
So yeah, them 2 ladies are going to be.
So they've been eager to fight.
They're eager to fight. They're really high standards. Like this is as close to pros you're going to be watching. So the next fight I want to talk about is Adam Brown versus Josh Walton. So another fight that makes sense. Josh Walton is the lad who fought Alfie Lynch. Obviously Alfie won that fight. Josh lost it. Kieran Piggott fought Adam Brown. Kieran Piggott won the fight.
Yeah.
Adam Brown lost it. So Adam versus Josh makes a lot of sense.
So would you envision that the winner of those 2 could potentially be the next one?
Somewhere down the line. I mean, there's other fighters out there at the minute that would probably like to come in and challenge the winner of Alfie and Kieran.
Yeah.
Which would be great.
Yeah.
Do. So Adam and Josh, there's certainly the winner of that will certainly be in the mix somewhere.
Yeah.
Josh Walton being very busy, and Adam throws less shots but more intent to her.
Yeah, he's like, I was calling him the angry man. He's got that kind of confidence, but that he's got that intensity in his place where he wants
he's
to do
fully
that.
about bad intentions.
Yeah. He fully wants to. I would say that you get 2 types of fighters. You get fighters that want to win, and you get fighters that want to hurt.
Yeah.
He comes across as a fighter that wants to hurt. Like if he was doing MMA, he's a guy that will hit you to the canvas and smash your head until you're not moving anymore. Like he has that intensity from what I've seen of him. You know,
he's got all the ability to be a great fighter, and so is Josh. So
I think Josh can keep him at range. Like, I definitely think he can keep him at range.
definitely, I mean, like if Josh looks at the way his training partner Kieran dealt with Adam, then there's certainly a way to go that bit. But if you're Adam, you're probably not going to go out there the same way you did
I wouldn't have
the
thought
last time out. So
he had the most success when he closed the distance and he went to the body a bit, and then he would go to the head. That's when he had the most success against Piggott. But I think he can potentially do that with Josh more effectively, you know, and maybe shut him down. But if you allow that range to kind of take place, especially if you're coming from like a point scoring background, that's where you're gonna have your bread and butter. If you can keep that aggressive person, and you can be on your back foot and just pick your shots off. I think then Josh can potentially come across. I think if I was going to make a prediction, I think it would be a case of it would go down to points in potentially Josh's favour, depending on how aggressive Brown could be.
Yeah, remember, Josh got stopped in his last fight, so Adam's also going to be looking at that and thinking,
this is it.
Could
I do the same? Could I put that pressure on? I think that's what he would have to do. You know, I don't think he wants to let it go to the judges, because I think on points he could potentially lose it just on the point side of things. And I think it would do him well to kind of look for a convincing knockdown or two, or a stoppage, you know.
Or in a 3-round fight, if you score a knockdown and it becomes a 10-8 round,
it's a game changer.
Then 100% it makes. Again, it's another great fight, so I don't even want to predict it.
Well, you can't technically, because well, actually no, you can predict that one.
I can predict that.
Well, make a prediction.
Involved.
Make a prediction.
I don't like to, because at the end of the day, like, I've matched it based on 50-50.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you watch the fights, you know that. You know?
I just hope, obviously, Josh has put right his wrongs.
Yeah.
Not going to allow the same things to happen again, and I really hope Adam has as well. Adam obviously needs to get a little bit more busy. I'd like to see him add a few more things to his game, like a good jab, rather than just coming in with the big wide hooks. Because it really is like that. Josh is busy. Josh throws a lot of straight shots, a lot of nice, like flippy high kicks, but doesn't really bite down on anything. You know, you can kind of, well, going on when Alfie fought him, he sort of like, Alfie was quite confident taking his shots on the gloves.
Yeah. And
then returning with his own.
Yeah.
Whereas Adam actually does fight like that, to be fair. He's got a very high guard, what I call like a Dutch style guard. Palms on the forehead, moving in, and then bang, unloading. So it's just styles make fights, and that's a great fight.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's move on. So we've got Marley Davis versus Levi Thompson. So I'll introduce obviously Levi, because he hasn't fought in the show, but we really wanted him on the last show.
Right.
Obviously Marley's one of my fighters, and he did fight on the last show.
Marley's the dedicated hometown hero now for me.
Yeah, he got a great win, but Levi, I mean, it's hard for me to like fighters that are fighting my own guys, but I really like Levi. I really like his style. I like what he's about. I really like his coach Tony. And Levi just come off of a massive win against Sonny Greaves from Combat Academy in Crossland's gym at 17 years old. So he's just turned 18, so he's now going into the adult ranks, and he's being welcomed by Marley Davis. So Levi is coming off the back of a British title, WKO British title at 17 years old. So now he's stepping into the adult ranks, and Marley's is there to welcome him for this fight. And Marley's coming off of a big fight against Jordan Harewood, which he convincingly won. It's, you know, in my opinion, it wasn't really a close fight. I think people were trying to make it look like it was a close fight, but Marley just really used his jab and picked him off and just showed him, like, did what he needed to do. So, like, whoever wins this fight is like literally one of the best in the country at that weight.
Yeah.
They already are showing signs of that. It's at 65 kilos. I think Levi was ready to move up in weight. Marley was actually ready to move down in weight, just purely because of like Marley's muscle structure. We find it quite easy to cut weight because he's quite muscly.
Yeah.
Whereas Levi is like tall and already very slim. So he's probably ready to move up a little bit now he's an adult. But we managed to secure the fight at 65 kilos. It's kind of like a meet in the middle for both lads. And man, it's like two of the best in the country. Like, there's other fighters around that weight that are maybe just a bit more of a step up, but there's only like one or two.
Yeah.
You know, at amateur level anyway. Okay, so moving on, we've got Luke Gooch versus Phil Taylor. Don't think you know too much about the history of that fight, but it's quite an interesting one. So obviously Luke's had one K1 fight, which was on our last
quite
event,
impressive, yeah,
which was a very impressive win.
Yeah.
He obviously had a highlight reel knockdown. He dropped his opponent with an overhand right, then went on to win convincingly over the next couple of rounds. And Phil Taylor, he's actually someone Luke fought twice under MMA rules.
Right.
Luke's only had 2 fights before he came on.
And was that 1-on-1?
No, that was actually 2 wins for Phil.
Right.
I think the first one was like under that sort of, what's the white collar version?
Oh, the not real MMA
Yeah.
type of.
So the first win was under that. I don't think it was a knockout or anything like that. I might be wrong. Don't know too much about that one. And then their second fight, Luke was pressing the pressure, and Phil knocked him down, caught him with a head kick, and then followed it up and stopped him. So it's like a bit of a grudge match,
yeah.
And Luke's looking to get his just deserves on Phil and get something from it. Obviously, it's under K1 rules. Phil Taylor trains with Ben Tyler.
Oh, okay.
He's come from a strong gym.
Yeah.
Luke's obviously training with me. We've got a game plan for Phil, and if Luke sticks to it, I can't see it going any other way. I'm very confident in Luke's ability for this one.
Yeah.
Luke's been sparring phenomenal. Luke's now training with champions and mixing us with my guys who, you know the way we spar and the way we train. And I kind of hope for Phil's. I don't need to. I'm just going to say I don't need to like sit here and be all nice about this fight and like make out, say like it has to be a 50-50 fight because Phil's beat Luke twice.
Yeah.
So I can say what I want.
Yeah.
And
he has the upper hand in this thing.
Phil's going into it as a favourite.
Yeah.
100%, and should be.
Yeah.
He's the bigger guy, much taller guy.
Right.
Luke was going down to 60, but to say this fight, we took it at 62.
Right.
That's how much Luke wants it with him. Do you know what I mean?
But
there's been a bit of a back and forth on social media as well.
Okay.
So it's like
it's heating up, is it?
I think they're underestimating him, and I can see why.
Well, you beat someone twice. You do kind of.
But listen, I'll send you the footage of that first fight, and
I think you have to discount the first fight. The
second fight.
Yeah.
I'm only talking about the second one. The first one's irrelevant.
Yeah, because that's not an official.
Yeah.
Combat sport.
And you'll see the way that panned out, and you'll see where Luke was then and where he's at now.
Yeah.
And also, you've got to remember, it was an MMA fight. Luke was like preparing for takedowns and stuff like that. You could tell like the way he was set out with his hands. It was like ready to catch the takedowns. I don't know much about MMA, but I could tell he did not look like a K1 kickboxer. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas now, Luke's looking phenomenal in that. He's dropping people in sparring. We brought a sparring partner in the other day who fights very similar to Phil, and Luke stopped him, and then after that, like literally had to take it easy on the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not slating the other guy. I'm just saying this is where Luke, like he stepped in with Luke, and Luke he's now chomping at the bit, ready to fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And this is the first time he's really had a fight club behind him.
Yeah, it's the first time he's ever had a real trainer. Do you know what I mean? He was floating about. There's like an MMA gym in Norwich that's trying to do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And there's no one really there who's took him. It's been like,
come on, let's
do this. So he did the right thing and travelled down, introduced himself to me, did a few sessions with me, And then, you know, obviously I had the opportunity of fighting on the last show and we really gelled, and he's fit into the team really well. He now travels around to support the other guys when my guys are fighting on other shows. You know, he's a real member of the team, and like I say, I can afford to have a favourite in this one, and my favourite is going to be Luke. I want everyone to bet against him. I want Phil to underestimate him. I want Phil's coach to underestimate him, because it's going to make it all that much sweeter when Luke does what he has to do. No disrespect to Phil, he's actually a great little fighter, and I believe, like, you know, with the right training, like he could really be something special, 100%. But I don't believe he's had the right training for this fight, and he ain't prepared for it. So another look at camera.
Well, this is the energy, this is the excitement, you know, like when it comes down to it, this is what we love.
Talking about this one,
this is why we do this show.
There's gonna be, listen, like they're bringing a big crowd, both lads. I've got a lot of love and respect for his coach, being he's a good friend of mine. He's always helped us out with the show, as will we with his. So, you know, there is
it's that friendly.
It's just the fact that obviously, like, you know, with the history of the fight, and I've seen some of the banter down back and forth, like,
I love it. We all know, if you come to one of our shows, you know what to expect. You're not going to come here and be like, oh, that one was good, but that one was rubbish. It's like, we aim to try and be consistent for every single show, you know. We try not to cut back on anything. We try and put our best foot forward every single time. And the reason why people venture out and come, like, we don't have to really push selling. We don't have to sell. One thing we're doing this time is we're actually holding back some of the standing tickets, because I personally had to turn away so many people at the last show who thought they could just turn up on the door. So what we've done this time is we've actually allocated a selection of tickets that is only available on the door. So if we do end up selling out again, and people do turn up just randomly thinking they can get a ticket because they've never been before, at least we can kind of offer some on the door tickets this time around. You know, because the tickets, listen, they do go. You know, fighters, like you said, they'll sell tables and tables and tables, and tickets do go, and people do go. They hear these, they watch these videos, and they're like, oh yeah, I want to go to that. I know there's only a handful of VIP left online, you know, and that's seats, that's not tables, that's a handful of seats left online. So comment below who you're looking forward to seeing the most. Make sure you share this video. You know, the more exposure we can give all these amateur fighters, the more this industry will grow for them. So share the video, you know, comment on it, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel as we're trying to build that up moving forward. And if you've got your tickets, we look forward to seeing you on the 30th of October. If you haven't got your tickets, get some. And yeah, we'll see you there.